Good evening, chaps and chapesses. How are you all? Excuse me, urgent business to attend to. Oh, do you know what? I've been dying of thirst for the last hour, and I could have had a juice. I could have had a soft drink, but I thought, no, I'm going to save it up for the big event. Anyway, how are we all doing? Let's do the traditional where we start the video by having a look at the register. Who we got in? We've got David Evans first in. Hi, John. Hi, David. I think that's next one's pronounced Dimith. Hello, everyone. The Essex Cat, Johnny Random. Michael Palmer's in. How are you, Michael? Dave Lewis. Mike from China Guitar is in. How are you, Mike? We must get you on here and have a natter sometime. Craig Stamen, how are you, mate? Stephen Tatton. Steve Muskie's in. Phil, Ian Clark, Peter Collins, Stephen Tatton, Wrexham Matic, Steve Lamb, Peter S, Chip Young, Malcolm Spillett, and Mike Brown, Lee Marano. Missed last week due to my daughter's wedding. It was wonderful. Well, congratulations to the proud father-in-law and proud father, I guess. James White, Jan Karlberg, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Colin Falcons in, Deco Do, Das Schaff, Ian Rouse, Dave Pegg, John Channing, Chris Otterwell, Cal B, Dr. Gomez 1 and on with a short, yes indeed. Pablo Hanks in, Edwin Toonan, Rob Bald, Graham Reeves, old Uncle Tom Cobley and all. It seems all the usual suspects. So how are we all doing? It's been a little bit of a eventful week here. Well, not eventful, just busy. I'd rather be busy than not busy, but it's, I am the hamster in the wheel at the moment, cranking out the videos and doing the lessons and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm absolutely loving it. But, it just seems to blink and you miss it. It doesn't seem like 5 minutes since, last week. I'll tell you, it doesn't seem like 5 minutes since since we were kind of, talking about Christmas, and that's already arrived, hasn't it? I don't mind Christmas. I quite like Christmas, but I must admit I used to prefer it when it was in December. So, Grandpa Joe's in. How are you, mate? David Daly, all the latecomers are all turning up. What you're saying there, Das Schaff? Still in the middle of a mammoth coding session, having a beer and whiskey for break. I always write better call when mildly inebriated. Yeah, you must work for Microsoft, do you? Anyway, Robster Boy's in. How are you, mate? Anyway, let's get a little bit of housekeeping out the way. What's coming up on the channel this week? Well, no Saturday video this week. I only do those occasionally. But on Sunday, there's going to be basically those iron gear pickups that you saw yesterday in a mix. Basically as used in part of a track. The overwhelming kind of feedback from that video is that many people think that the iron gears sound better. I do. I don't think there's a lot in it, but I do think they sound better than the Tesla pickups that came in that guitar. But there's a lot of people who are saying that they can't really hear any difference. And I kind of get what you mean because, listening back to the recordings of the two different pickups side by side, I'm thinking that's not what I was hearing in the room. Just when you're actually there, and hearing the difference, it is a more marked difference. And as I said, the iron gears give it more of that sort of Telecaster on steroids feel that that is often quoted as being a facet of a Les Paul style guitar's sound, and anything that gets it more Telecaster-y is fine by me. So that's Sunday's video. Then on Monday, yes, this one I'll test you. There is a solo analysis, as is usually the case on a Monday, and we're doing, well, back to the 70s, not for the first or last time, I should imagine, for a classic early 70s song. It's a great song, classic 70s song, but I bet you've forgotten that it even had a guitar solo, because you don't think of this as a song that has a guitar solo. So, any ideas what that might be? I could give you a clue, but we'll see if anybody comes close before then. Then Tuesday, we're doing another top five Tuesday. That's what I've started calling that slot. And well, last week I did the 5 most overrated albums, and I didn't get as much flack for that as I thought I was going to. There was only one person who really had a a little bit of a trouser accident in the comments section. But most of you took it in the sort of light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek style that it was intended. But to balance things out, this Tuesday we're doing the most underrated albums, 5 underrated albums. And there is one on that list that I'm sure will give you a little bit of a moment and think, what? Surely you must be joking. But when you'll know when you see the video. Listen to the album, because I'm linking to them all, and you'll hear that it's probably a lot better than you thought. Then on Wednesday, what are we doing on Wednesday? I've forgotten what Wednesday's video is. It's a lesson of some kind or other. It'll come to me. Wednesday's video. It's the age thing is catching up with me. I'm just going to have a look now and see what Wednesday's video is, because that's going to bug me. I know I've done a video for Wednesday, but I'm screwed if I can remember what it is. Right. Yes, essential skills for joining your first band. That's it. I knew I'd done a video, I just couldn't remember what it was. So that's Wednesday's video. Things that, you don't realise you need to know until you're in the practice room with your first band and you're thinking, oh, well, that doesn't sound very good. How to avoid those kind of things when you're playing in a band for the first time. Then on Thursday, it is, well, you can see behind me there, that semi-acoustic thin line Telecaster style guitar there, the Glary, the one that you saw me fixing the fret buzz on Wednesday. That is the unboxing and first impressions of that guitar. And then on Friday, we're back on the drink again. So that's what's coming up on the channel this week. Yes. Essential skill, ignore the bass player. Yeah, well, here's another essential skill. If you, in front of an audience, if you mess up like really, really badly and play like a real humdinger of a clanger of a stinker of a note or a chord, that even the most tone deaf Peters and Lee fan in the audience could, anyone remember Peters and Lee, could spot that it's that something's gone wrong. All you have to do at that point is give the filthiest, dirtiest kind of "what the hell are you doing" look at the bass player, and then they cop the blame for it, you see. Kieran's in. How are you, Kieran? What's that, Dave? Let me put you up on screen. How come ever since I got this Gibson Les Paul tribute, I can't stop listening to Led Zeppelin? If it were a Strat, it would be Clapton. Well, yeah, I don't know, mate. That's just one of those things, isn't it? It's usually the other way around. You buy a guitar because you're listening to that style of music, but I suppose it can happen the other way around. Oh, we're talking about the solo from Monday. No, it's not Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep. It's not Spirit in the Sky. Monday's solo, I'll give you the clue. It could be a solo about Mick Jagger, or it could be a solo about Warren Beatty, or it could be a solo about Chris Christopherson. Yes, those of you who know the song will immediately join the dots there. Excuse me. Hey, I'm a bass player, says Jan. Yes. Well, we accept all sorts here, Jan. It's only a bit of good-natured banter, musician jokes. I did a video about those ages ago. Here's one. I'll tell a guitarist joke. How can you tell there's a guitarist at the door? The knocking gets louder. There you go. So I can, I can poke fun at my own sort as well. Carly Simon, you're so vain. No, it's not Leave Your Cake Out in the Rain. MacArthur Park. No, you've all got it there. It's You're So Vain. Yeah, I bet you'd forgotten there was a guitar solo on that song. I had until it came on the radio, and I thought, that's a nice little solo. I'm gonna do a video about that. So I did, and that's what Monday's solo is. Played by a chap called Jimmy Ryan, who I'd never heard of up to that point. I've got to admit, maybe I've heard him play on millions of things, but he was a new one on me. Excuse me. Get ready to shout, Flake, everyone. There we go. I'll try and make it a good one for you. That's not too bad, is it? There you go. Flake. I'm on the Fosters this evening, by the way, because, I didn't get to Aldi this week. Oh, Pseudo Scott's in. You probably think this comment is about you. Yes, but there you go, mate. Here we go. All the flakes are coming in. Back to the hotel, 2 birds each. I have no idea what you're talking about there, Dave, but I'm sure it's well intentioned. Scott Guitars is in. Dan, how are you, mate? Where are we? Let me put you up on screen there, Peter. Listen to the guitar work on Nancy by Martin Stevenson and the Dainties. Gary Dunn is a brilliant player. Well, Nancy and Martin Stevenson and the Dainties and Gary Dunn are all kind of completely new names to me. I have got another one in the pipeline as well, by the way. A solo from Ian Jury and the Blockheads. I've been asked to do the solo from Reasons to Be Cheerful, so I'm going to get that one underway at some point. So that should be a fun one. What's this? How many singers does it take to change the light bulb? Just the one to stand and hold it while the whole world revolves around him. Yes, indeed, James. Thank you very much. He's here all week. Try the veal. While we're doing these musician jokes, here's one for you. How many folk singers does it take to change a light bulb? 7. One to change the bulb and half a dozen of his mates to sing about how good the old one was. Okay, so Mick Jagger, we're talking about You're So Vain again. Mick Jagger sang backing vocals on the song. I did know that. It wasn't about him, according to Carly Simon. Well, she's always been very cagey about the song, hasn't she? I think that's why it's got its mystique. About the people it could be about and the people it couldn't be about. There's always that. I think if she just said, who it was about, then it wouldn't be the enigma that it is. But it's served her well, hasn't it? Good song as well. I think it's when you listen to that song properly, because obviously I had to do it to sort of tab the solo out and everything. Listening to it on headphones, it's you can feel it's a real kind of everybody in the same room, all recording together, and kind of feeding off that vibe of musicians in a room, which I maybe I'm repeating myself, but I do like it when you can feel that kind of vibe on a tune, which it's so sadly lacking these days. Where are we? Let's put you up on the screen there, Rob, because you're asking me a question. Harry Nilsson was originally singing backing, but Mick took over. I didn't know that. I didn't know Nilsson was involved in it at all. But yeah, it's so anyway. That's what the solo is this week, and it's a good one because there's some slide in it as well, and you don't notice until you give it a real close listen that the solo is in two halves, and there's like a break, and there's like a slide part comes in. Bono and the Edge walk into a bar. The barman said, "Not you two again." Dum-sh. There we go. That's bad. Even for a Friday night on the beer, that's a bad one. Oh yeah, I've heard it was either James Taylor, David Geffen, or Warren Beatty. Yes, I've heard those names mentioned as well, along with Mick Jagger and Chris Christopherson. So who knows? As I say, that's part of the mystique of the song. It's like Bernie Marsden, for many a year, his famous Les Paul that he christens the Beast. There was is it or isn't it kind of question about whether that was the Clapton Les Paul that he used on the Beano album. Turns out it wasn't, but there was a very strong possibility that it could have been. And I think Bernie was quite happy to bask in that in that enigma about that guitar. What's the difference between an accordion and a banjo? The accordion burns for longer. What's the difference between a banjo and an onion? Nobody cries when you chop up the banjo. Right, excuse me, I'm leaning forward here because I'm just having to lean forward to read the chat. Let's scroll down a little bit. Where we're talking about female singer-songwriters. Yeah, I was riffing on this in a live stream either last week or a few weeks ago when we were talking about Adele. I have nothing against Adele, but I think part of the reason why she's so massively successful is because, there are no other, kind of comparable singer-songwriters around like her at the moment, certainly female singer-songwriters. Not that I'm aware of anyway, but then again, I'm not exactly got my finger on the pulse when it comes to the hit parade, as they say. But, back in the 70s, you had Carly Simon, you had even Karen Carpenter, you had Joni Mitchell, you had Carole King, a whole slew of like really properly top-notch female singer-songwriters. And I think the world is obviously hungry for more of that kind of music, because when, one person, Adele, comes out and does that kind of thing, suddenly she's like, conquering the world. And I got to say, she's good at what she does, but what she does isn't exactly, a broad spectrum, is it? It's always, kind of lovelorn, end of relationship, breakup songs. And, I do find that, not that I've got anything against those kind of songs, but it's like, you just wish that you'd sing a happy song from time to time, or, kind of rock out a little bit, and get a Janis Joplin kind of groove on or something, and, kind of really rip it up from time to time. But it just seems like she's stuck in that power ballad groove. Thoughts on Billie Eilish? I know the name, but that's about as much of a thought as I've had. As I say, it doesn't really. I know the name. I'm aware of an artist with that name, but I could walk past her. I think it is a her in the street, and not blink an eye because it's just you get to that point. As I said. Back in a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about the 90s albums, you get to that point, or I certainly did, and a lot of people I know did. You get to a point in your sort of early 30s where, your musical tastes are defined. and music becomes something else. One of the great joys of advancing in years, I think, is nostalgia, and it's often frowned upon and sneered at, and kind of looked down upon. But one of the joys of life is looking back and having pleasant, happy memories. And for me, music is associated with that, and a lot of the music that I listen to comes with all of that sort of baggage attached to it, and that's a large part of the enjoyment I get from it. So it's when you're going in cold to a new artist or band that doesn't have that whole sort of history that it brings with it, then it's kind of fighting with one hand tied behind its back in a way, in order to kind of make an impression on me. So yeah, I mean, I'm a middle-aged bloke, and I'm not ashamed of it, and I have middle-aged bloke attitudes towards music and so on. I like the stuff that I grew up with, and I don't feel any need to be defensive about that, even though it might sound like I am. I can't see Adele doing a Susie Quattro tribute. Adele and Susie Quattro, I tell you what, lad, I'll have tickets for that fight. That'd be something to see, wouldn't it? Anyway. Yes, I think I agree with you on that particular artist, Dave Lewis, John Mayer. Yeah, it's I just don't. Well, when he first kind of hit the big time consciousness and went mainstream, because wasn't he kind of in a relationship with Jennifer Aniston or somebody, and suddenly everybody's talking about this blues singer and guitarist. So like I got an album, and you thought, I'll give it a go, and there was nothing on the album. Don't ask me which album it was, I can't remember, but it was around about that time, whatever he was putting out in, I guess, the mid-2000s or thereabouts. And I couldn't find anything I disliked about it, but there was nothing that gave me that kind of fizz in me belly. It just didn't really grab me. I mean, if Mayer is your favorite artist, then please don't take that as anything derogatory. It's like, it's strawberry jam versus raspberry jam, isn't it? We're all out like different things, but it's just, his music never really grabbed me, and because he never got his hooks into me, I've never really sort of investigated further, really. Maybe I should. Where are we? Oh, to put you up on the screen. I'm listening to a lot of Sean Lane at the minute. That man could play. Yes, I mean, he was just phenomenal. I mean, he was on another planet. It was, you talk about, him and Holdsworth, for instance, you think of in the same sort of vein. But I don't know, you don't listen to Alan Holdsworth or Sean Lane if you like a catchy tune, though, do you? It's to me, it's I can appreciate the gobsmacking talent involved, but I'm just waiting for a melody a lot of the time. So there you go. It's me. God, I sound like me dad, don't I? It's not even got a tune to it or nothing, has it? What's that, Steve? Let's put you up on the screen, mate. I'm 68. I like the music I grew up with and played as a young man. What is surprising that many of the young guitarists I know want to learn how to play music from the 70s and 80s. Do you know what? I see that all the time. There's one young lad that I teach, and he's sort of indicative of this. I've only got sort of since kind of lockdown and everything, my lessons have primarily kind of gone on to Zoom rather than face to face in the room. I still do a few of those like that, but the Zoom lessons, it tends to be more adults. But I have got one young lad I'm teaching at the moment, and he's about 13. And what music is he asking for? Not kind of me suggesting. he's asking for, CCR. He's asking for Slade. He's asking for Black Sabbath, Oasis, which, to a 13-year-old is still prehistoric, isn't it? So I'm saying, where are you hearing all this sort of stuff? And he just says, oh, it's the stuff that Dad has on in the car. So it's kids pick these kind of influences up, which is not surprising because I have a massive love for 50s rock and roll, and where did I get that from? Well, it was my parents' generations of music. That's what I sort of grew up listening to around the house. That my parents were playing, and it left an impression on me. Where are we? A tune is important. Yes, indeed, Michael. That's it's one of the things that I like about music a lot of the time, is that when it can be like really kind of densely complex, but you don't notice the complexity because all you're hearing is the fact that it's tuneful and musical. It's probably, that's why I'm attracted to guitar players like Robin Ford. His playing is absolutely virtuosic. When he starts throwing in these diminished and super Locrian runs and tritone substitutions and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still a tune you can go away humming a lot of the time, and I just think that's absolutely fantastic. Let's put you up on the screen. Hi, John. How do you see the future of the guitar? Fender sold me more guitars than ever before during lockdown, and probably Gibson as well. Here's the thing. The guitar always has a future, because there is no instrument that can do what a guitar does. There was a period in the 90s when I think it was in the mid-90s at some point when, music retailers in the UK sold more DJ turntables than they did electric guitars. But, it came back from that. Do you remember in the 80s the keytar, that keyboard that was like, kind of like a guitar, shaped like a guitar, so the keyboard player could come down the front of the stage and do some kind of posy kind of guitarist sort of moves? Whatever happened to that? Even the guitar synth, never really kind of got the traction that a lot of people hoped it would. And the thing is, the electric guitar, especially the electric guitar, is an instrument where every thought, every feeling, every emotion, everything that is happening inside you as a player comes out on the guitar. It's just there. And I often say this to my students. It's like, if you play confidently, it will sound good. Even if you're not confident, pretend that you are confident and it will sound better. And then the confidence won't be a pretense, because, you'll hear it sounding good, and that will make you confident. And I can't think of any other certainly amplified instrument, any electric instrument that has that direct, kind of from the fingers to the, to the 100-watt, amplifier, that direct connection that is, connecting you as a player to the note that a million people are hearing. So that, for me, if music is about anything, it's about expressing emotion, and the electric guitar is unsurpassed, I think, as an instrument for doing that, which is why it will always have a future. And I've taught loads of kids over the years how to play the guitar, and there's always a new generation of kids that want to pick up a guitar, like that kid I was telling you about earlier, who's wanting to learn all of his dad's kind of classic rock collection. The electric guitar is always going to be here. What I would say is that I think all of the best guitar sounds have already been heard. I don't think we're ever going to get, any kind of radically new, kind of guitar tones. Yes, there's a 7 and 8 string boys and the stuff that they do, and but it's even then, what they're doing is they're taking tones that we are familiar with, like the classic kind of plexi tone or boogie tone or something like that, and kind of moving that on a little bit. I think that moment back in the 60s at some point when somebody turned up a valve amplifier to the point of, overloading and realized that, oh, that doesn't sound as clean and clear as it should, but I really like that noise that it's making. From that moment on, it was set in stone that was going to be another great guitar tone that people are going to seek to emulate. You look at the modeling, kind of software, or even new amps now. We talk about a brand new amp that comes out now. It will still be compared to benchmarks like AC30s and Plexis and Boogies and stuff that's decades old. So I think the classic guitar tones have already been heard, because once it evolves to a certain point, then for instance, how many innovations in violin manufacturing have there been in the last 100 years? I'd wager there's not that many, because it got to a certain point where it was right, and that's it. That's the sound that we want. And I think the same with electric guitar. Anyway, excuse me, I need another beer. Anyway, while I'm filling this glass up again. Oh, let's put you up on the screen there. Curry or pizza tonight, John? I'm ordering a Vindaloo. You're a brave man, mate. I used to be able to take a Vindaloo, but not anymore. I think, well, it's curry tonight, and our local curry house, the one that many of you visited at the party conference last, it was early this year, wasn't it, in August? That is, they do a really nice dry chicken tikka, but I've had that the past few times, so I think I'm going to kind of go for something different this evening. I don't know, but it's definitely curry tonight, and curry, and then an evening of BritBox. I think I've still got some our friends in the north, and some Auf Wiedersehen Pet, and some old Doctor Who's to watch on BritBox. It's my one little, it's sad, isn't it? How middle-aged is that Friday night, watching repeats on the telly and having a curry and getting a bit pissed. Yes, thank you very much, Flake. There was space left for more flake, John. Yes, indeed. The thing is that the flakiest of flake beers is the Foster's, is the Carling, which is why I'm on the Foster's at the moment. Because I struggle to get a full can of Carling into my pint glass. I'm not going to pretend that Foster's or Carling is my favourite beer, but I am trying to stay on the 4% stuff at the moment. Although sometimes the Heineken or the Carlsberg export does, it's just that too tempting, Oh, I didn't know that, Rob. Apparently, Lenny Kravitz spent a fortune buying up vintage recording gear to get that sound. I think he bought the Rolling Stones mobile. God, yeah, the Rolling Stones mobile. That was like, I wonder how much money the Stones made from that, because think of the albums that were recorded on the Rolling Stones mobile. I mean, obviously Machine Head by Deep Purple, because it's referenced in Smoke on the Water, but loads and loads of classic albums were recorded on that Rolling Stones mobile. And it sort of begs the question, why didn't other bands do that? Why didn't other bands kind of invest in? Oh, well, the Stones are making a shitload of money out of having a mobile recording studio. Why don't we jump in on that? who knows? There's oh, you're on series 3 of William Hartnell on BritBox. Yes. Yeah, you see, William Hartnell was before my time. I can just about remember the back end of Patrick Troughton, but I was a John Pertwee, Tom Baker lad. And I sort of gave up when Peter Davidson took over and watched the first couple of series of the reboot. Well, until like David Tennant wrapped in, and then I thought, nah, this is trampling over my fond memories, so I'm not going to bother anymore. But yeah, it's you watch those old Doctor Who's though, and the special effects. Like the one I watched a couple of weeks ago was John Pertwee one, The Planet of the Spiders. Dear me, the special effects. Well, there was nothing special about the effects, frankly, back then, was it? But it didn't matter, you suspended disbelief, and it was great. Anyway, what's that, David? I've just got the new Paul Gilbert Mojo pedal. I had the old one, but this has more tone, cuts through easy. If you haven't tried one, John, give it a whirl. I shall stick that on the list, mate. I've just bought a piece of kit today, actually, that is going to be coming up for the usual sort of unboxing and, first impressions, then a proper review. In the next couple of weeks, actually. We're going to be looking at the Fender Mustang Micro Mustang. Thanks to Dan from Scott Guitars. He recommended it to me ages ago. He said he got one, and it's just like really inspiring to play through. And then as soon as he said it, like everywhere was out of stock with them. So I got one today. It's turning up on Monday, and I'll do the usual thing with it, do a couple of videos with it, move it on, and then hopefully, make a little bit of a turn on it. What's that? Me and my band played a gig once in a wine bar in Soho. There were 5 bands on the bill, and we were the only one who weren't from London. The cast of Our Friends in the North were there. Yeah, that was a great show, wasn't it? If anybody doesn't know Our Friends in the North, it was this kind of sprawling epic about 5 teenagers in the 1960s in Newcastle, and they and followed their lives all the way through to what was then the present day, which was about 95, 96, a 30-year span. And it echoed like real life events. It's like there's a politician in there who is quite obviously the corrupt northeastern politician T. Dan Smith, and it's like social history and everything, but a really kind of compelling narrative where you just brilliantly written drama is what it is. And if you haven't seen it, it's on BritBox, so go and check it out. Is this the only guitar channel that discusses Doctor Who? Just asking. Well, this is the thing. I'll tell you what, Anton, right? The average 10, 12, 15-minute video that I do, the preparation that I put into those videos is, well, I've got a decent workflow and I can kind of slim it down and do it. But, I certainly put at least a couple of hours work into every video that I put out. But this one video that's like the longest video every week that I do, which is this live stream, there's no preparation. I haven't a clue. I hit that go live button at 5 p.m. on a Friday, and I don't have the foggiest idea what I'm going to be talking about for the next hour. It's just I'm reading the comments and I'm interacting with you lads. I'm having a bit of a natter, going off on a tangent a lot of the time, talking cobblers for even more of the time, it has to be said. But it seems to be the video that consistently, on replays and kind of catch up, seems to kind of get the most views. So what does that say about the amount of preparation I'm putting into the rest of the videos that I do? Who knows? By the way, don't forget, all of you wonderful people who've signed up for the Blues Masterclass. It is this Sunday, Sunday the 14th. 10 a.m. UK time. I've done a dry run rehearsal of it, and it lasted about 3 and a bit hours, but we were just kind of rattling through it without much of a break. So we're going to be scheduling a few breaks in there, and I would imagine we're looking probably at somewhere around about 4 and a bit hours or thereabouts to get through all the stuff that we've got to get through. Does it come with subtitles for Southerners? Yes, Ian. Yes. Put the closed captions on, mate. You'll be all right. John, any opinion on tusk nuts and string trees? Well, I've got a tusk nut on. This is my cue to, as I always do in every live stream, pick up Blondie here. Excuse me, let's get the wire out. This has a tusk nut, I believe, hasn't it, Dan? Yes, I think it does. Yeah, I mean, I think the importance of a nut is often overstated. Perhaps maybe that's a controversial thing, but the only notes that a nut will have a direct kind of influence on the tone of are the open strings. Yes, your nut's got to be cut correctly, and that one is beautifully so. But it's not like it's going to affect what nut material you've got isn't going to affect what you're doing on a string bend at the 17th fret. It's just not. How can it? But yeah, tusk is a fine nut material. I honestly can't say I notice a big difference between the cheapest plastic nut and more upmarket ones, other than in terms of tuning stability. Strings will sometimes bind in the nut, but that's more to do with how the slots are cut. Beg your pardon. Freudian slip there. As far as string trees go, again, as long as they do the job, then I'm happy with them. Are tusk nuts self-lubricating? Oh, now there's a question. I think so, but don't quote me on that. I think they may be, but even on nuts that claim to be self-lubricating, I often will just get the old soft bristle paintbrush out here and dip it into a little tub of ground up pencil lead that I've got especially for the purpose, and just brush it in. Not every time I change the strings, but just every couple of 3 times, just to keep everything nice and kind of slick and friction free, basically. Sunday morning, joining the congregation at the Church of Robson. Dear me, you make me sound like a cult leader then. I have been described as something that sounds like a cult, but we won't go into that. Anyway, so I see it's been confirmed tusk nuts are self-lubricating. Well, I thought they were, but I didn't like to kind of pronounce it as gospel, but yes, indeed. The main thing with a nut is, as somebody else has said up there, if you're using a whammy bar a lot, then the nut is one of the main friction points where you're going to get tuning issues. But I don't use a whammy bar much. But I am kind of starting to on that. There you go. The Sire Larry Carlton back there. I am looking at getting the H7, by the way, the semi-acoustic, the 335 one. But unless I want to pay over the odds for it, then I'm going to have to wait because everywhere is out of stock on them at the moment. Unless you want to buy like the kind of white one, which looks a bit sort of meh to me. So I'm just going to wait probably until the new year, until the sort of the cherry red or the sunburst one comes back in stock at all the usual suppliers. Tempted to think, well, just give it a little while because they're a relatively new model. They're bound to start cropping up used on Reverb or eBay at some point. But we'll see. It is a review that's on the cards, by the way. Another one that you can see, by the way, back there. Nobody's asked yet. I'm surprised nobody's, not that I've seen in the chat anyway. Nobody said anything about that blue Pacifica in the background there. That is another one. That's a Zoe's Place guitar that's been donated for the charity. And the chap who built that or who did that mod was apparently much inspired by my Pacifica mod a few years ago. You remember that guitar that I had, the Pacifica that I bought in cash converters? And much as it pains me to say, the chap who's done that guitar has done a better job on it than I did on mine. So it's, we shall see. There may be some kind of arrangement we come to there where I will save Zoe's Place the hassle, the ball ache, the trouble of listing that guitar on eBay. I'll just give them some money for it. I might, because he's done a blindingly good job on it, mate. It's absolutely fantastic, and it made me all nostalgic for my old Pacifica. Oh, you asked about the Pacifica earlier, did you, Malcolm? Sorry about that, mate. Yes, I get so kind of engrossed in telling me little tales and going off on tangents and talking bollocks for your entertainment that I often don't keep up with the chat. I should have a producer, really, shouldn't I? Who can put stuff up on screen for me. That might be on the cards, actually, but I'll tell you more, if it comes off. Anyway, excuse me, chaps. It's beer time. It's going down rather nicely. Swapped a spare amp for a new guitar today. It's a Revelation, the brand, not the Epiphany. RVJT. I'd forgotten how much I love P90s. Yeah, I've seen those Revelation guitars. A few of me, they're like a sort of a glary kind of budgety sort of brand. And oh, there we go. That's what you get for talking while you're trying to pour a beer. Come on, everybody. Who's going to be first to type flake? Sprinkles as well as a flake. Yeah, those Revelation guitars that I've seen a few of them, and they are a bit rough, it has to be said, the ones I've seen. But it's like, there's a nice guitar in there somewhere if you just tweak it enough. I haven't seen one with P90s on it, but there you go. Yes, there we go. Super Flake. It's all coming in now, isn't it? There must be a time lag on the tube of you. Excuse me while I just move my empties out the way and have a quick vape. Yes. I own a Harley Benton 550 Les Paul and a Strat. What should be my next guitar? Okay, Steve, if you've got a Strat style guitar and a Les Paul style guitar, then, you know, I would say there's the four classic designs really that, you know, so some people will disagree with this, but, you know, this is my opinion. Strat, Les Paul, Telecaster 335. Those are your four, the big four as far as I'm concerned. So it all depends really on whether you want the other Fender design, the Telecaster, or whether you want the other Gibson design, the 335. But, you know, if you've got one each of those four, then I think you're pretty much, you can cover a lot of sonic ground, really. As a second best choice on Patreon to learn from, who do you recommend? Who do you recommend? Not beginner stuff. I don't know, really. Jake Lizio from Signals Music. He is absolutely astounding as a communicator and a tutor. So, you know, if you're looking for another Patreon support other than me, well, thank you if you are a Patreon supporter in the first place. You know, it's much appreciated. But if you're looking for somebody else to go and check out, then Jake at Signals Music Studio, Jake Lizio, an American chap, and he's, you know, he knows his theory absolutely brilliantly, and he communicates it in a very accessible way, and makes it fun, and, you know, just he does that thing that I try and do, which is to say, okay, this is the theory, now this is what it sounds like. Doesn't that sound good? Isn't that worth learning? You know, so yeah, go and check him out. Leaning towards a 335 style at this point. Yeah, the 335. I mean, the Harley Benton HB35 Plus is a great 335 style guitar, great thin line semi, and I've had a couple of those, and yeah, absolutely great guitar. The next guitar of that type will be that I get will be the Larry Carlton H7 though. So. Started with a Telecaster 5 as well as 4 Strats and various other things. Yes. Yeah, this Colin, Mr. Falcon there who's in the chat, he has a bit of a Telecaster fixation. So let's scroll up a bit, see what I've missed. Cadbury's don't make that many flakes, John. Thank you. Yes, indeed. It all goes down the right way, though, doesn't it? Are you off, Mike? Nice to see you, mate. Are you on later tonight? I shall try and pop in as I'm having me curry, and just on the Chromebook downstairs and drop into if you're live or whatever you're doing. See you later, mate. Is a Harley Benton 335 better than an Epi? It's certainly, I would, and, you know, I'm going to get accused of shilling here and all kinds of stuff. It's certainly the HB 35 Plus from Harley Benton, I would say, is probably, well, at least as good as the Epiphone Dot, as was, because they don't make that model anymore now, do they? You know, my mate Bottleneck Bob, who we haven't seen in tonight, by the way, we hope he's okay. You know, the Epiphone Dot is a nice guitar, but, you know, it's if you want an equivalent or perhaps slightly better guitar for a bit less money, then the HB 35 Plus is a nice guitar. But then again, you've got that gamble that you always have with Harley Benton guitars, where sometimes they do outsource the quality control to you, the final customer. So, you know, you've always got to take that into account with Harley Benton guitars. I'm their biggest fan because when I first encountered them, I just couldn't get over how much guitar you got for the money. But a few of them that have, well, not a few, but one or two that have turned up have had things that needed sorting out. And fortunately, I've got the enough experience to know how to sort them out. But but then again, I had an Epiphone. The last Epiphone I had, which was the Epiphone Les Paul Studio, that was absolutely criminally badly set up. But there you go. So yes, the Harley Benton HB35. If you're on a tight budget and you want a 335 style guitar, then you have to go a long way to beat it. John, my brother has the original Epiphone Sheraton. It's great. Yeah, a chap I used to teach years ago, because I've been doing this a while now, has the Epiphone Sheraton, and it's a lovely guitar. The only kind of point I would make about the Epiphone Sheraton is that certainly I suppose it's going to be the same on all because the dimensions are the same. You're fine until you want to play above the 15th fret, and then it's just it's you're struggling. It's like you're in a straitjacket when you get onto the really high frets. Thank you, Nigel. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Yes, let's put you up on the screen there, Rob. That's the best criticism I've heard yet of Harley Benton. Great value, but questionable quality control unless it's going to Henning. Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll look after Henning, don't they? The other guy who you don't see anymore, I haven't seen any videos from him in ages, and he was all over Harley Benton a few years ago, was Corey Muir. Anybody know what's happened to him? Because I haven't seen any videos from him in absolutely donkey's years. It's just bizarre, because he was the three YouTubers that turned me on to Harley Benton's were Nick in the States. Now he's had family stuff with his daughter being really sick, Henning, and Corey Muir, and you just don't see Corey anymore. Corey has even gone quite on the Harley Benton face tube group, John. Well, fair enough, yeah, because he was quite the. There was him and Henning that were like the two German guys who were doing Harley Benton. Anyway, chaps, I'm going to call it quits here because I'm starting to get peckish and I've got to go and order a curry. Thank you, Das Schaff. You are a gentleman and a scholar. It will make its way to Zoe's place, and along with that blue Pacifica and the Glary that you can see behind me. Anyway, chaps, thanks once again. It's been a blast. You turn up every Friday night to watch a fat, bald northern lad talk bollocks for an hour, and it mystifies me, but I'll keep on doing it until you get sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.